In a distant galaxy, on a remote planet called Terra Nova, a small human colony thrived. The sun rose each day over fields of green, and children laughed as they played outside. But not far away, a dark power watched. The Galactic Empire, a ruthless force that ruled many worlds, saw humans as weak and unworthy. They believed that crushing this colony would send a message to all who dared to oppose them. One fateful day, a team of elite soldiers from the Empire descended upon Terra Nova. Their ships cut through the sky like dark clouds, casting shadows over the village. The people looked up in fear, knowing the Empire's reputation for violence. They had heard stories of other colonies that had been destroyed, and now it was their turn. In the village, a young boy named Alex played with his friends. He was full of life, with bright eyes and a smile that could light up the darkest day. His laughter echoed in the air, a stark contrast to the dread that filled the hearts of the adults. As the Empire's ships landed, the joyful sounds of childhood faded, replaced by panic and chaos. The soldiers stormed into the village, their boots thudding heavily against the ground. The people ran in every direction, searching for safety. Alex's mother, Sarah, saw the soldiers and immediately grabbed her son. "We need to hide!" she cried, pulling him into their home. But before they could reach the door, a soldier spotted them. "Stop!" he shouted, raising his weapon. In that moment, time seemed to freeze. Sarah's heart raced as she shielded Alex with her body. "Run!" she urged him, pushing him away just as the soldier fired. The sound of the blast echoed through the air, and Alex turned back, only to see his mother fall. Shock washed over him. He couldn't comprehend what had just happened. He ran, tears streaming down his face, but the horror didn't stop there. The soldiers continued their rampage, destroying homes and taking whatever they wanted. The cries of the villagers filled the air, but the soldiers showed no mercy. In the chaos, Alex found a hiding spot behind some crates. He curled up, trembling with fear, listening to the sounds of destruction. He wanted to scream, to fight back, but he was just a child. All he could do was watch as the world he knew fell apart. Hours later, the Empire's soldiers left, their mission complete. The village lay in ruins, smoke rising from the ashes of homes. Alex crawled out from his hiding place, his heart heavy with sorrow. He wandered through the destruction, calling for his mother, but there was no answer. The reality of the situation sank in, and despair consumed him. When he reached his home, he found it shattered. The door lay broken, and the inside was a mess of rubble. He stepped inside, his heart pounding, and there he saw her, his mother lifeless on the ground. Alex fell to his knees, tears pouring down his cheeks. The warmth of her embrace was gone forever. Word of the tragedy spread quickly. News reached Earth, igniting anger and grief among the people. They couldn't believe that the Galactic Empire would go so far as to murder a child. The loss of one innocent life turned into a rallying cry. This was not just about Alex anymore. It was about all humans and their right to exist. Leaders on Earth gathered in secret. They knew they had to respond. They realized that the Empire's actions could not go unpunished. The Council vowed to protect their people and seek justice for the innocent child whose life had been stolen. As they made their plans, the seeds of resistance began to grow. The death of Alex sparked a fire within the hearts of humans everywhere. They were no longer willing to sit back and be treated as lesser beings. The Galactic Empire had crossed a line, and now it was time for humans to rise. The call to arms had begun, setting the stage for a battle that would change the galaxy forever. This was just the beginning of their fight for justice, and they would not forget the name of the child who had become a symbol of hope and strength for all. The galaxy would soon learn that humans were not to be underestimated. They would respond with power, united by a shared purpose to avenge the fallen and protect their future. In the aftermath of the tragedy on Terra Nova, a wave of sorrow swept across Earth. News of the young boy's death reached every corner of the planet. People gathered in homes, schools, and parks, their hearts heavy with grief. But along with their sorrow, a fierce anger began to grow. The Galactic Empire had crossed a line, and now it was time to respond. In a grand hall deep beneath the surface of Earth, the leaders of the human coalition convened. The atmosphere was tense, filled with whispers of despair and determination. They knew they had to act swiftly. The murder of Alex was not just an attack on one child, it was an attack on all humans. As the countdown began, soldiers from various backgrounds gathered in the launch bay. They were farmers, teachers, and engineers, all transformed into warriors. Each person wore a uniform adorned with the symbol of the human coalition, a rising sun representing hope and resilience. They exchanged nervous glances, but determination shone in their eyes. "Remember why we're here," a young pilot named Mia said, rallying her fellow crew members. "We fight for Alex and for everyone who has suffered. This is our chance to show the Empire that we will not back down." Her words resonated with the crowd, igniting their resolve. Finally, the countdown reached 0. With a deafening roar, the Dreadnoughts lifted off the ground, soaring into the sky. The sight was breathtaking, thousands of ships ascending together, a testament to human unity and strength. As they broke through the atmosphere, the stars stretched out before them, a vast expanse waiting to be explored. In space, the fleet gathered in formation, a powerful armada ready to strike. General Roberts stood at the helm of the flagship, the Horizon's Might. He looked out at the sea of ships, his heart racing with anticipation. "Let's move out. Set a course for the Galactic Empire's stronghold," he commanded, and the ships adjusted their trajectories in unison. As they approached the Empire's territory, tension filled the air. The Dreadnoughts were equipped with advanced weapons, but the Empire had their own defenses. Sensors picked up enemy ships patrolling the area, and the crew prepared for possible engagement. The moment they had been preparing for was near. Suddenly, alarms blared. "We've been spotted!" one of the officers shouted. The crew's hearts raced as they braced for action. The Galactic Empire had sent ships to intercept them. "Battle stations! Prepare to engage!" General Roberts barked. The crew sprang into action, securing their positions and checking their weapons. Mia and her team took their places in the cockpit, ready to pilot their dreadnought into battle. As the enemy ships approached, a sense of fear and adrenaline coursed through the crew. But the memory of Alex and all the lives lost fueled their determination. They would not let fear hold them back. "Firing weapons!" Mia shouted, her fingers dancing over the controls. Energy beams shot out from the dreadnoughts, striking the enemy ships. The explosions lit up the darkness of space, and cheers erupted from the crew. The battle raged on, a chaotic dance of fire and destruction. The dreadnoughts worked together, their crews communicating seamlessly as they dodged enemy fire and launched counterattacks. Humans fought with a fierce spirit, surprising the Galactic Empire with their resilience and strategy. As the dust began to settle, the tide of battle turned in favor of the humans. The Empire's ships were not prepared for the sheer number and strength of the dreadnoughts. With each victory, the crew's confidence grew, and they fought harder, remembering their purpose. In the heart of the fight, General Roberts commanded from the flagship. "We will push forward! This is for Alex. This is for our future." His voice carried through the comms, inspiring every soldier to fight with everything they had. As the battle continued, it became clear that the Galactic Empire had underestimated the humans. They had awakened a force that would not be easily defeated. The dreadnoughts, powered by the strength of their crew and the spirit of the fallen, pressed on, determined to reclaim their dignity and honor the memory of those who had been lost. The fight was far from over, but with each moment, the humans were proving their worth. They were no longer just a colony. They were a united force ready to change the course of history. The vastness of space was lit with the glow of battle as the human dreadnoughts clashed with the Galactic Empire's warships. Explosions echoed through the vacuum, and the once quiet expanse was filled with the sounds of combat. General Roberts stood on the bridge of the flagship, the Horizon's Might, his eyes fixed on the swirling chaos outside. This was it, the moment they had prepared for. "Adjust our course," he commanded, pointing toward a cluster of enemy ships that were regrouping. "We need to break their formation." The crew moved swiftly, following his orders without hesitation. They were determined to show the Empire that humans were not to be underestimated. Mia, a young pilot, gripped the controls tightly as her dreadnought soared through the battle. The thrill of combat surged through her. "We're approaching the enemy's rear flank," she shouted, adrenaline pumping in her veins. "Ready to fire!" "Fire at will," General Roberts echoed from the flagship. Energy beams erupted from Mia's ship, striking down enemy fighters. She watched in awe as the ships exploded in brilliant flashes, the light illuminating the darkness of space. But even in victory, she remained focused. The battle was far from over. The Galactic Empire had not expected such fierce resistance. Their ships were strong, but the Dreadnoughts were built for this very moment. As human ships worked together, they coordinated their attacks, flanking and outmaneuvering the Empire's forces. Each victory felt like a step closer to avenging Alex and all the lives lost. "Look out!" a voice shouted over the comms. An enemy cruiser was barreling toward Mia's Dreadnought, its weapons charged and ready to fire. In that instant, she felt time slow down. The cruiser loomed larger, and she knew she had to act fast. "Evade! Move left!" she yelled, pushing the control stick hard to the side. The ship swerved just in time as energy blasts flew past, narrowly missing them. The crew let out a collective breath, but Mia knew they couldn't rest yet. "Target that cruiser!" she ordered, her heart racing. The crew responded quickly, locking onto the enemy ship. "Firing!" Energy beams shot out, hitting the cruiser head-on. The ship shuddered, and moments later, it exploded in a fiery blaze. Cheers erupted from the crew, but Mia kept her focus. They had to keep pushing forward. Meanwhile, on the flagship, General Roberts monitored the battle strategy. "We need to take out their command ship," he declared. If they could disrupt the Empire's leadership, it would cause chaos among their ranks. He knew the stakes were high, but this was their chance to turn the tide. With determination, the Dreadnoughts rallied together, targeting the command ship. They charged as one, a wave of strength and unity. As they approached, enemy ships swarmed to defend it, but the humans pressed on, fueled by their need for justice. "Brace for impact!" Roberts ordered as enemy fire rained down on them. The flagship shook violently, but the crew held their ground. They were ready to fight for every life that had been lost. Mia and her team flew into the fray, dodging blasts and firing back with precision. Together, they targeted the command ship's weak points, blasting away at its defenses. With each hit, the ship trembled, and Mia felt a rush of hope. "Almost there!" she shouted, her eyes locked on the command ship. Just then, a massive energy blast shot past them, narrowly missing their Dreadnought. "We can't let up! Keep pushing!" In a final coordinated assault, the Dreadnoughts unleashed their full power. The beams of energy struck the command ship repeatedly, and with one last explosion, it shattered into pieces. A cheer erupted through the fleet as the Empire's ships fell into disarray. With their command ship destroyed, the Galactic Empire's forces began to retreat, confusion spreading among their ranks. The humans had proven their might, and in that moment, victory felt within reach. But as General Roberts looked out at the battlefield, he knew they had to stay vigilant. The Empire would not surrender easily. "Let's press our advantage," he commanded. The humans had struck a powerful blow, but the war was far from over. They had awakened a sleeping giant, and now the galaxy would witness the full force of humanity's resolve. With every battle fought, they were closer to justice, and closer to ensuring that no child would ever suffer like Alex again. The battle raged on, but as the Galactic Empire's forces retreated, a sense of hope began to fill the air. The human Dreadnoughts, once seen as a myth, had proven their worth on the battlefield. General Roberts stood on the bridge of the Horizon's might, watching as the last of the enemy ships fled into the darkness of space. It was a hard-fought victory, but it was only the beginning. As the dust settled, cheers erupted from the crew. They had done what many thought was impossible. They had faced the Empire and emerged victorious. But for Roberts, the victory was bittersweet. He thought of Alex, the young boy whose death had sparked this fight. They had avenged him, but the pain of loss still lingered in their hearts. "Today we have shown the galaxy that humanity will not be pushed around," he announced, his voice ringing with pride. "We stand united, stronger than ever." The crew erupted into applause, their spirits lifted by his words. As the fleet regrouped, they began to assess the damage. Many ships had suffered in the fight, but the Dreadnoughts remained operational. Engineers and technicians rushed to make repairs, while pilots shared stories of their close calls and brave actions during the battle. It was a moment of camaraderie and reflection. Mia, still buzzing with adrenaline, joined her fellow pilots in the hangar. "Did you see that explosion when we took down the command ship?" she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "We really did it!" One of her fellow pilots, Marcus, nodded with a grin. "I've never felt anything like it. We showed them what humans are made of." Their laughter filled the hangar, a welcome sound amidst the chaos. Meanwhile, General Roberts and Dr. Emily Torres were meeting with the other leaders of the human coalition. They gathered in the command center, still buzzing from their victory. "We need to think about what comes next," Roberts said, his expression serious. "The Empire will not take this defeat lightly. They will regroup and strike back." Emily nodded. "We need to strengthen our alliances. Other races in the galaxy are watching us now. If we can unite them against the Empire, we can turn this victory into a movement for freedom." The leaders agreed. They would reach out to other planets and races, sharing their story of resistance. They would show that humans were not just warriors, they were also allies. Together, they could stand against the oppression of the Galactic Empire. As they made plans for the future, word of the humans' victory spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Messages flooded in from grateful allies and sympathizers. The news brought hope to those who had suffered under the Empire's rule for too long. The humans were becoming a symbol of courage and determination. On Earth, people celebrated in the streets. Crowds gathered, waving flags and banners. "Justice for Alex," they chanted, remembering the boy whose death had sparked this fight. Memorials were erected in his honor, reminding everyone of the sacrifice that had ignited their struggle. As the celebrations continued, General Roberts looked up at the stars. He felt a mix of pride and responsibility. They had won a battle, but the war was far from over. The Empire would not disappear quietly, and he knew that their journey was just beginning. "Together we will face whatever comes next," he whispered to himself, "for Alex and for all of humanity." The following days were filled with preparations and new strategies. The Dreadnoughts underwent repairs while the leaders worked on forming alliances. They reached out to planets that had suffered under the Empire's rule, inviting them to join their cause. Many accepted, eager to stand with the humans. Finally, after weeks of planning, a grand meeting was held. Leaders from various races gathered to discuss a united front against the Empire. General Roberts stood at the forefront, addressing the crowd. "We are stronger together. If we join forces, we can create a galaxy where no one lives in fear. Together we will fight for freedom." The room erupted in applause. Hope filled the air and a new dawn began to emerge. The coalition was no longer just about humans, it was about all who had been oppressed. They would rise as one, ready to face the Galactic Empire and reclaim their future. As the stars twinkled overhead, the spirit of unity ignited a fire within each leader and soldier. They were ready to face the challenges ahead, united by a common goal, freedom for all. The battle for their future was just beginning, and they would not stop until they had won. The galaxy would witness the power of a united front, and this time they would not back down.